Hello everyone, it's June here. As part 2 of Korea Insights series, we're going to talk about culture. And I have a special guest here, David. He has been to Korea last year and had a blast, and he's a fan of Korea, K-pop, Korean food, you name it. Okay, the first topic here is tipping. One of the best things about Korea is that you don't have to tip. What you see is what you pay for. By default, servers do not expect a tip, and customers don't think about it.
I don't think that we tipped anywhere while we were in Korea. We generally weren't even given the option to tip.
Right. Some hotels, by the way, might require 15 to 20% tips, but it would state that in the menu at the bottom. I really, really love that system. I wish that we had that system in the States.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely some benefits to tipping, like you said, being able to really incentivize incredible service or reward incredible service, but it is nice for it not to be an expected part of your dining experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And goods are the same way. Price tag that you see at the store is what you will pay for, exactly.
Just to be clear, the taxes are already included.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's not like tax-free all the time.
Yeah.
In case you decide to give them tip, you should give them the tip in the beginning so that they know that they need to give you better service. Sometimes they might just refuse getting the tip because they're not used to it.
There were several times where I couldn't believe how delicious the meal was, particularly the meat, the pork
like
and the
barbecue.
beef. We went to barbecue 4 times, twice to a more beef-oriented barbecue spot, twice to a pork-oriented barbecue spot.
Born and bred.
Born and
was
bred.
good.
Yeah, born and bred was really good. The black pork in Jeju, we went to 2 different places that I still don't know that I've had a meal that's better than that. You could just really rely on the food being incredibly good and fresh wherever you went.
When you go to Korea, a lot of people visit very humble Korean restaurants, which you should definitely do that. However, there are other types of Korean restaurants too. There are a lot of Michelin restaurants there. Try different kinds of food in Korea. Let's move on to the next topic. Alcohol. The legal drinking age in Korea is 19 years old. The government measures this requirement by year, not by month. So somebody born in January 2005, for example, and somebody born in December 2005 are both able to buy alcohol.
That can be really confusing, I think.
Just like the Korean age.
I was going to say, it kind of requires a little bit of an explanation of Korean age versus Western age, tying your age to a calendar year rather than a 12-month cycle.
Yeah, so in Korea, when you're born, you're 1 year old. So they count the time that you're in your mom's womb. So when Koreans are telling you how old they are, you could probably subtract 1 or 2 years.
Or maybe the most straightforward way for me to process it, having not grown up in that system, is it's really a count of the number of calendar years you have been alive in, as opposed to the number of 12-month cycles you have lived.
That's right. Yeah, speaking of age, one of the first questions that they might ask you is about your age, how old you are. I know it's kind of rude to ask how old you are in other countries or other cultures, but for them, knowing how old you are means a lot, and it is very important because they need to treat you differently and speak different types of language. They need to use respecting language, so they might ask you how old you are. Don't feel like it's rude. It's just a way of Koreans trying to get to know you and treat you the right way. Korea is also a mecca for great cocktail bars. So we've been to a couple different cocktail bars. What was your favorite?
I really enjoyed Charles H., which was at the Four Seasons where we were staying, a speakeasy style bar. Used to be on the top 50 bars list in the US, I think, in the world. They had really phenomenal creative cocktails with kind of a New Orleans influence on them. Which was really fun. We also in Jeju, actually again the hotel bar at the Parnas had this incredible halabang margarita, halabang being the Jeju tangerine, that was really delicious. And I know there are a number of other really spectacular, world-renowned cocktail bars that we didn't quite get to while we were there, but something for us to look forward to on our next trip.
Cocktail bars usually charge around 25 to 30,000 won. It's not cheap, but if you enjoy drinking different kinds of cocktails like us, you might want to check out some of the great bars in Gangnam or nearby Myeongdong area. So there are a lot of great places that you can visit. And you can drink alcohol in public in Korea, but you gotta be careful because if you misbehave, you might have to go to the police office, which is not good. And some local governments have restrictions on alcohol, such as parks, bus stops, educational facilities. So just make sure that you can actually drink outside. And I wouldn't drink anything in front of somebody's building. But when you go to a convenience store like 7-Eleven, they usually have tables or chairs outside. That's where you could just sit around and or consume alcohol. Drinking on the trains and buses are strictly forbidden.
When you say trains, is it the metro in the cities, or does that include like the long distance bullet trains?
I think that they don't sell alcohol in both cases, but I might be wrong. I'll share what the policies are right here at the bottom. By the way, when you go to Korea, you have to try soju, the Korean traditional drink. And soju is actually #1 best-selling distilled alcohol in the world, more so than vodka.
Might be more of a statement on Koreans' interest in drinking than how great soju is, but I do really like soju.
And you like somak. Can you tell us what somak is?
I do like somak. Somak is soju and beer mixed together. So you put like a shot of soju in your glass and then you fill the rest up with a really good light Korean beer. It's delicious.
Maybe you can demo it for us.
Maybe sometime.
Yeah. When you go to the regular restaurants, soju would be relatively cheap. It would probably cost you about $3 to $5. But if you go to a high-end restaurant, you might not find soju, or they might just have a high-end soju like Hwayo, and that might be a little bit more expensive, like $20 to $40, I guess. And there are also flavored sojus, which you don't like.
For the most part, I do like the halabang soju, the Jeju orange, Jeju tangerine soju.
And that soju, they only sell it in Jeju, I guess?
Well, the one we got was kind of a touristy thing that I think they only sell there, but it was delicious.
So try out soju and tell us what you think about soju. At the restaurant, if you happen to hang out with local Koreans, sometimes you have to pour drinks for them, and they love drinking together. So when you pour the drinks, I would always use 2 hands like this. Yeah, something like that to pour the soju or beer or anything like that instead of using your single hand. Because when you do that, they might find it rude. And when you're getting the drink, I would also hold the glasses with 2 hands to show the respect. Public etiquette. So when you are in public, you might encounter escalators a lot in Korea, especially at the subway stations. You should always stand on the right side of the escalators, and then the left side of the escalator should be left empty for those people who are in a hurry.
And to be clear, you should do that here in the US as well.
Yeah. Koreans are always in a hurry, so might as well just leave them some space so that they can just, run or walk fast on the left-hand side. Holding doors. We're very used to holding doors for others because that's what you're supposed to be doing here in the States. In Korea, nobody would hold the door for you. So one time when I was in Korea, at the subway station, I tried to hold the door for people. Literally, I had to hold it for 5 minutes because these people who are busy, they're literally running through the door, and I didn't even have a chance to let go because people were keep coming in. I literally had to just let go and had this person get hit by the door, and then they got pissed off at me. I'm like, dude. Another public etiquette, blowing nose. Here in the States, I think that it's okay for people to blow their nose because, you have to get rid of it if you have to. But in Korea, people find it a little bit rude. If you have to blow nose, I would just do that in the bathroom or in your private space. But it's really funny because they slurp and they cough or sneeze, like anything else is fine, but blowing nose, people might look at you like, ew.
And I think it's fair. I think that it's just as rude here in the US to blow your nose in public, and you should go to the bathroom to do that.
If you have a chance to shake hands with Korean, and if it's the first time that you met them, I would highly recommend you to use both of your hands. In any other culture, you might just be shaking hands like this. In Korea, you'd be like, 안녕하세요, you know. That means you respect them. That means you're really excited to have met them. So when you get a chance, I would just use two hands to show them lots of affection, lots of respect, and excitement. Personal space. In Seoul alone, there are about 25 million people, and Korea is a very tiny country. Maybe it's about the same size as the state of Ohio. So it's a small country, and 70% of the land is covered by mountains. So they live in the 30% of that tiny land. So the concept of privacy, because of this situation and the collectivism Asian culture, it's not there. So sometimes when you're in public, you might feel like the people around you are too close to you, or when they speak to you, they might be like right on your face. When you experience that, don't find that is rude. You could just back up a little bit, or just take it as a different culture, I guess. When you're using subways or buses, any other public transportations, not taxi, you might see a special section in the subway or in the car where it says for pregnant ladies. And if you see that, but a couple seats are left empty, those are probably seats reserved for pregnant ladies or elderly people. I've seen a lot of foreigners be like, oh my God, I found empty seats, and they sit there. Probably nobody's gonna tell you to move, but they might feel like, oh, you're not supposed to be sitting there.
Don't be those people.
Okay.
Nabi's also Korean. Nabi means butterfly in Korean, and she has been fluttering around the living room like a butterfly.
Aww. Vegetarians and vegans. If you're vegetarian or vegan, it's hard to find restaurants that you could enjoy in Korea. A lot of times they use fish sauce based or dashi based broth or sauce, so that kind of ruins everything. However, it's increasingly getting better in Korea. There are a lot more vegetarian or vegetarian friendly restaurants or vegan friendly restaurants in Korea. So if you do some research, you would be able to find some. I can also share some of the list of the restaurants that you could visit if you're a vegan or a vegetarian.
And in addition to fish sauce, a lot of the fermented dishes use like little shrimp and things like that for the fermentation process. So if you are a really strict vegetarian as opposed to more pescatarian, and it's really important to you, you do want to check to make sure that there's nothing hiding in there, because there are a lot of dishes that look vegetarian that are not quite vegetarian.
Exactly. Oh, hi! You should really check out the temple stay. There are a few different temples in Korea, including in Seoul, Jeju, everywhere, where you could stay for a night or two to experience the temple lifestyle, and they will serve you vegan food, which would be quite tasty. And vegan bibimbap is going to be pretty good too. What do you need, baby girl? And when it comes to Korean safety or public safety, I have never been to any other country where I felt more safe than I feel in Korea. When people go to the bathroom at Starbucks, they leave all of their belongings and then they come back, everything is there. And if you leave your wallet in the subway, I see news articles from time to time, and it's always returned to, lost and found. So these people are quite honest. I mean, I was born and raised in Korea. I came to the States when I was in high school. During the time that I lived in Korea, I had never been mugged, pickpocketed. I had never experienced any kind of crime there. Of course, things are happening there, but just because of you're a foreigner, people will not try to target you. That's the point. When you go to Korea, inevitably, you're gonna hear a lot of K-pop in the street, right? So before you visit, I would check out some of the K-pop songs so that you can finally hear something familiar when you visit Korea. So I would utilize YouTube and see if there's any cool song that you like from BTS, Blackpink.
There are a couple of really good Spotify playlists also that would be a good introduction. That's where I would start. K-pop Daebak, I
K-pop
think,
Daebak.
is one playlist that has generally the most popular K-pop of the moment on it. Driving in Jeju and the continuously changing speed limit and the way that the speed was monitored by camera and radar.
Camera like every 100 feet.
Every 100 feet, the speed limit changed every 100 feet, and you would automatically be ticketed if you were going over the speed limit. But more so than that were the zones where you had to maintain an average speed. So there would be like a 5-kilometer stretch, and over that 5-kilometer stretch, you would have to have an average of like 60 kilometers an hour speed. And there were like continuous trackers, and the app on your phone would also track your average speed, and you would have to make it through that stretch without going over that.
Which meant that, you mean Naver Map?
Naver Map, which meant that some people would go twice the speed limit for half of it, and then half the speed limit for the second half of it, and it was just a little wild. So if you are driving, don't drive in Seoul, watch Jun's first video, he'll tell you why, it's crazy. If you do drive in Jeju, just know it's going to be a much different experience than driving in the US, and it's going to be much more involved. You've got to really pay attention, and really you've got to have that app open because it will help make sure you don't get into trouble.
Korea is known as the world capital of CCTV. There are CCTVs everywhere, and there are speed cameras everywhere, whether you're in Seoul, Jeju, Busan. The purpose of having a speed camera, the government is not doing it to earn money. They really want them to slow down so that they can reduce accidents. Navigation, so Naver Map or Kakao Map, will actually tell you, hey, slow down. So that's what David was talking about.
Yeah.
Every 100 or 200 feet, there will be camera, and your map is going to ask you to slow down if you are speeding.
There's also, in addition to school zones, there are silver zones, which are areas with a higher concentration of elderly individuals that also have reduced speed limits. But it was definitely, I had no idea what a silver zone was the first time the map started yelling at me about it.
Oh. So whenever you see silver something, you might want to think about, oh, are there any elderly people around? When it comes to shopping, where would you recommend? I know that there's Myeongdong, but is there any other spaces or places that you have been to that you felt like, oh my god, I love this place?
I think it depends on what kind of shopping you want to do. Certainly if you want to do luxury shopping, we went to the Hyundai department store in Yeouido, which was a very nice experience. I think for the souvenir shopping, was it Ikseondong that we went to with all of those little shops where the caricature. We got some really cute little bracelets and figurines. It was a lot of fun. Things were very affordable, and there were a lot of different options. But it seemed like there was really shopping everywhere you went. You couldn't turn around and not see an Olive Young store. There are lots of really incredible shopping malls and shopping districts, and it just comes down to what type of shopping you want to do.
But luxury goods, I don't think Korea is one of the cheapest places that you want to buy the luxury goods, except for like 1 or 2 brands.
I know Gucci is a little bit less expensive in Korea than it is here in the US. I'm not sure if it's quite as affordable as it is in Europe, but I would suggest you, if you're looking at a luxury item, go online and look at the Korean website, look at the price in Korean won, and then flip over to your home country's currency and just compare and look at the exchange rate.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you do shop and if you purchase a certain amount of goods, you can always consider tax refunds. So ask the merchant if they participate in tax refunds, and they will cut a different receipt that you could use to get some money back when you return to your home country. So please use that, because you might be able to get a lot of money back if you are a shopaholic like us.
And carry your passport around with you, because you might need your passport to get that paperwork. At Olive Young, they are able to apply the refund immediately, so you don't have to do anything extra. When we were at the Hyundai, there was a very nice area where you could go to do that paperwork on the top floor of the department store. I'd imagine most department stores have a similar setup. If you want to get a sense of Korean culture before you go, open up Netflix and watch a couple of K-dramas. You'll get a really good sense of what to expect, I think, if you go through a couple of those shows.
So, what was your first impression when you visited Korea?
It was very clean, very modern. I think because we consume so much Korean content, I had a pretty strong idea of what to expect. I think what would be interesting, though, would be my dad's experience visiting Korea. So my dad was stationed in Korea in the military back in the 80s. And my stepbrother is married to a Korean woman. And for their son's first birthday, my dad and my stepmom traveled to Korea to celebrate. And his summation was when he left Korea in the 80s, he felt like he was leaving a third world war-torn country. And
especially Osan, where your dad was stationed, it was like middle of nowhere, like a dirt, not even paved.
And he was shocked when he returned how advanced and how clean and how modern the country was, and couldn't even fathom that any country could be so incredibly advanced and modern. It really is beyond, I think, what you can anticipate in terms of how advanced, particularly Seoul, feels in the areas that you'll visit as a foreigner and a visitor.
Absolutely. I think it's just remarkable. I can't even wrap my head around, especially for my dad. He was born before the Korean War, experienced the Korean War. They got even worse because of destructions everywhere. The fact that they were able to quickly recover like that, that's just incredible. I think it's the Korean people and their focus on education.
And I think their innate resiliency that's so ingrained in the
DNA.
Very long history of the Korean people.
That's true, yeah.
I think that everyone should visit Korea. It's incredible. Everything that you see on TV, everything you see on K-dramas, it lives up to. Food is phenomenal. The people are phenomenal. The culture is phenomenal. Go, enjoy, and you won't regret it.
Awesome. So I hope that this was a fun but informative session for you. If you do have any other questions, please let us know. Leave comments about Korea or leave any questions that you have. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.